0, and liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Mission Control. This is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands. And we've got an exciting episode on deck for you. Please join me in welcoming James Worthy, AI product developer for the telecom industry and fellow podcaster.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, James, thank you. Thank you. Also want to introduce the right-hand man, Mr. Jorge Pezo-Candelario, our Director of Web Development here.
How's it going, everyone? Excited to be here. Excited for the show. Should be a great conversation.
Yeah, so let's dive in, James. We're seeing a lot of fatigue, AI fatigue. People are getting tired of these AI flyers. They all look the same. They've got this brown tone. The new update has like the almost like the brushstroke font that we're seeing everywhere. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's very apparent for everybody who's on social media or if you're on the internet, right? You're seeing in your feeds ads from people, and they all look the same. And everybody's using some sort of AI template to convey their product, their restaurant, etc. And as a consequence of that, the users or the audience or the customer is starting to see fatigue. And you can even ask yourself, like, if you go through your ads right now, you're going to see Molly's restaurant, and then you're going to see Jimmy's restaurant, and they're going to say, hey, we have happy hour between 4 and 8. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to see the same thing in the same layout. And what's going to happen to you as a customer, as we as people, we're bombarded with so much information, right? And the more the information starts to look alike, the more static it becomes. So if you have stuff that's giving static to people, you just kind of get diluted. You don't really stand out. You have to think about your own experiences and think about what things do I typically remember about my day. The things that you remember about your today are the things that stand out, right? So yes, can I use AI to help me create some creative? Absolutely. Can I create an ad? Absolutely. And it's not bad if you do it. However, if you are going to do that, you have to kind of really think about your strategy long term, right? And also consider if I were to create some sort of analogy, AI should really be the paintbrush to an artist, not the entire painter itself, right? So AI is simply a tool. When you're when you're thinking about creating ads, and I understand the new businesses have that financial.
They're trying to save money.
They try that final constraint, right? That's a fair situation to be in. However, you have to also think about this is an investment.
Correct.
Right? So, if I'm using AI, it's completely free. It could be free, but it's not going to be something that's going to sustain my business because eventually it just becomes static. Now, one thing I would do as a small business, I'm not a designer. I can't do good design work. That's not my skill set. If I own a restaurant, I'm good at cooking. I would go out, hire a designer. It's not an expense, and it's an investment. And you can actually objectively see the benefit of hiring a designer versus using AI. You can see your revenue grow up. And we also have some data with us here that suggests what are the impacts of using AI creative versus using authentic creative.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the data. Probably do that in our next segment. But I agree with you 100%. I'm seeing it from people I know. They're putting out. I'm not gonna name drop, but I've seen people I know and care about that are using AI so much that they're blending in to the noise. And the whole thing about branding is you want people to trust you. You want people to notice you. You want to stand out from the competition. You want to have a differentiator. Now, if everyone is using AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and is using the same style guide, you guys are all going to look alike, and then you're going to just be noise. And then, to your point, you're going to get tuned out. And you're seeing it happen. And there's as much backlash as that people are actually saying, if I see your business using AI flyers, I'm not going to patronize it.
Right. And that comes from customers. The beautiful thing about AI right now is more people want authenticity.
Yes.
That's the beautiful thing about AI. We've kind of reached that climax with AI where people are saying, okay, I get it. It all looks like, where's the human?
Yeah.
Right. So, and for someone like me who is an AI product developer, I get it. And I personally use AI for what it's for. And professionally, I'm developing AI as a tool, not to replace humans. Right. And when it comes to all of the stuff that's happening with AI and the reason why we're all seeing this fatigue, it goes back to we need to kind of close the gap on the education between what is AI designed to be and what people are using it for.
And by the way, maybe it's because I took my glasses off, but James is almost like an AI Tiger Woods. That's what I'm kind of
I could see it.
I could see it.
I get passionate.
Oh, man.
I absolutely agree with you that what AI has come to net out is people have always valued authenticity.
Yeah.
But we've gotten to this point where there's such a saturation now.
Yes.
Where it's actually
oversaturation.
It is now peaked the value of authenticity because now you stand out even more.
Yep.
You're seeing brands go out of their way. Like Porsche put out an ad recently that was 100% hand animated, like traditionally, and it just stands out because you could so obviously tell. Now, there's all these models that are getting better over time, but the problem is that I think you don't want to gatekeep either, right? You're trying to balance it between the people who now feel empowered, like, oh, I don't have to deal with that, difficult agency. I can just do it myself, and it's good enough for them because they don't have the acumen to know what's good.
It's good enough for them, but I have to. For me, the elephant in the room is the feeling I get from some that are using it. Where I gotta say it's pompous or audacious, but it is almost like a slight to a designer. It's almost like when you're a designer, you respect the craft.
Yeah.
I'm trained. I know typography. I know, the right, ratio, the golden ratio. I know how. I know proportion. I know symmetry. And it's like when you see, established businesses doing it.
Yeah.
It goes as far as being a slap in the face, but it does have an adverse effect for me, and I think for a lot of consumers on the brand that's doing it.
I understand that. And, one analogy I can to kind of help articulate the relationship businesses should have with AI versus a designer. Let me ask you guys. All planes have what's called autopilot, which is essentially an AI-driven tool that can fly the plane. Would you take a plane on 100% autopilot with no pilot there?
No.
Nope. Okay.
Absolutely not.
Right. Pilots are using the autopilot tool. That doesn't mean that the airline industries are taking the pilots out back and popping them in the head. No, there is a marriage between the two. They help each other to make sure that the passenger has the best travel experience possible. This is the same thing. And by the way, AI has been around a long time. It's just now becoming a little bit more
accessible and accessible, like mass
exactly
to the mass population.
But we've had AI in our vehicles. We've had AI pilots use it to help them fly, direct, and land a plane. Right. So it's the same thing when you think about the design world, right? If these business owners are basically taking the autopilot and they're trying to fly the plane, and they're thinking like, hey, well, autopilot should work. I should have success. No, but what about the turbulence that happens in between? What about when you have to have some kind of deviation, right? Or because maybe I'm flying passengers to St. Martin, right? And there's a special route, or there's a special technique to personalize that experience for those passengers. You're not going to get that with autopilot. And the last thing I'll say too is, when you mentioned this oversaturation, I was actually having this conversation with someone. We were looking at data. Authenticity in the next couple of years is going to become the premium. Yes. It is going to become the gold star. It is like if I were to go and say, oh, you use ChatGPT to do your design work. Oh, I actually use an agency. Well, you're going to be looked at like you're driving the Mercedes-Benz versus a Toyota.
Well, because it's in some ways it's been a great equalizer in the sense that prior to this, and to your point, yes, 10, 15 years ago we were talking about machine learning. It's been around. It's just now it's more accessible. and more, I guess, more practical applications for it as we're seeing. But I think you raise a good point in that prior to this advent or this dawn of this age where folks can just go online and create graphics or videos even, there was a big distinction between the person that could afford an agency and the business that could only afford like the local print shop. Yeah, or the junior designer, or God forbid they did a hand-drawn flyer or something like that. Then you kind of knew, like, okay, do I feel like going to the mom and pop coffee roaster, or do I want to go to like the more high-end establishment? Right? You could tell by the branding, but now it's become kind of a great equalizer. Like you don't really know because everybody's if the top brands and the mom and pop are using AI and getting the same, what do they call it, AI slop. That's being put out there, we could have a conversation around: are we lowering our standards, or are people starting to scrutinize and get more privy to like saying, okay, the differentiator will be this return to authenticity. Right.
And one thing I'll also add to that is this: think about the templates that AI gives you. Think about your customers and who your customers are. I have seen design from AI that there's no way the customers feel like this resonates with them. And it's not that AI does a bad job. AI is not a human.
Right.
If I'm your designer, I'm going to come sit with you, understand your business, understand your customers. It's not just, all right, hey, just go design me a flyer, and then the designer
and this
goes
is the information.
No, this is a relationship, right? Yeah. I'm not a designer, but I have worked closely. Let me tell you, I work in product development. I meet with designers consistently because it's always a Q&A, and over time our relationship has evolved to a point where when I'm submitting a brief to them, they just get it, but they're designing it really for what we need. And as a business owner, you have to consider, does this really resonate with my customers, right? Like if my customers are a certain demographic and you've got words that don't even align with that demographic, you're going to lose some of your people. And then the other ones that you're trying to pursue are just going to kind of like say, I don't get it, dude.
Yeah, and also I think there's an investment because, you could argue that, well, if you train the AI, you upload style guides or you train it in your voice, you could, and you can you generate something and then you go back to Claude or ChatGPT and you keep prompting it. It's not like it's like snap your fingers and it's done. Like so you're either going to stop doing what you're good at as a business owner.
Exactly.
And waste your time prompting to really fine tune this. If you've got that kind of bandwidth, then God bless you. But if you really want to focus on growing your business, hire a designer.
Yeah.
And if you want to give him an AI, because in the web team, and Jorge, you can speak to how we're using it. Like now we're doing like glorified wireframes. And then we kind of say, okay, how's this feeling? And then we go code it, but then we actually design it.
Yeah.
But we're using it. We're not generating the entire website on there and saying, okay, here, this is what we're going to launch. Yeah. So maybe speak to that because I think that there is a way for us to utilize it, and then there's a way where it's kind of currently being kind of abused.
Exactly, and that's really the big difference maker is continuing to use it as a tool and not a crutch. And the tool part becomes, like you said, the paintbrush.
Yeah.
So we're able to now, and it's all about relationship and value. Yep. So now we can kind of use it in a way where we can upload our knowledge, train it on our data, train it on our previous projects to get it to a point where you can create a wireframe that the client can now better interact with, and in a shorter time frame, get a better feel for what this is what this final product is gonna look like, and then be able to then put that into full development and be able to say, all right, we were able to get this this framework up really quickly, so you can take a look, and it's no different than like an architectural drafting. Hey, you can take the blueprint right? And you can share it with the client, but you're gonna actually have to go get the contractor and build that and put it together and have the craftsmanship of putting that whole thing together,
Yeah.
brick by brick.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that where we can now say, okay, now we can, instead of, hand drawing everything like we, like they used to, now in architectural drafting, using software.
Yeah, it's a
using
great
CAD.
metaphor because I'm thinking like Truman Show, like everybody doing
Yeah.
the AI flyers, like a neighborhood that's every house is the same exact, and going back to the pilot analogy, AI is very utilitarian. It's like if you tell it like get us to St. Thomas as fast as possible, and there's a storm, it's just gonna get you there.
That's your requirement,
right?
You told me.
You told me
Get there
get
fast
you
as-
there, but a human is gonna say, you know what? Everybody's asleep. We're gonna divert. It's gonna add a few minutes, but we're gonna avoid this. I'm gonna reroute. That's that human intervention that we need.
Nuance and intuition. Recently, there was an experiment where they just did. It was very obvious that there's no sentiment currently. It's great at emulating what it has learned sentiment to look like and sound like, but it's still just a series of ones and zeros. It's still just a series of yes/no gates at the end of the day.
Exactly.
It's just taking data, making a determination based on that data, but it lacks that humanity, that empathy,
Right.
Even though it's good at simulating it. And I think the part of it is that there are some folks who have treated it as this omniscient force, which it is not. It's capable of making mistakes. There is not like you go to the big robot in the sky and you ask it for the answer and then you treat that as gospel.
Yeah.
You have some people in the industry who have kind of treated it that way. So making that distinction is key.
Let me give one use case here to help really connect with people on this one a little bit. So I'm going to take a restaurant. I'm going to say, is this James's Seafood Boil, right? And I just opened my restaurant. Now I'm going to take the route of first getting AI to create a flyer for me because, hey, I'm having a grand opening. I want it to be big. Hey, AI, I need you to create a grand opening flyer for my business. Most people are going to give basic requirements, right? They're not going to give extensive prompts, right? So I'm just going to give basic prompts, and you're going to give me this flyer. Now, I have this flyer, and I've got maybe 5 different types of segments of people. I've got children, demographics. I've got children. I've got single moms. I've got all these different people,
seniors
who want to come here. So I've got this one flyer that's supposed to connect with everybody. But the flyer is simply just telling you, look, there's a great seafood restaurant and blah, 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 blah. Now, I go with the designer. Designer's going to sit down with me. All right, who are your customers? When are you opening? What kind of food you sell? Okay, what kind of customers do you want? Now, AI doesn't typically give you that response back. And remember, AI is consuming what you tell me what to do. AI is not going to give you the feedback. James, I think we should create segmented flyers, right? We got to have one where we do a digital ad and we target these moms. And the language is going to be, hey, kid friendly, bring your children with you, right? We have a great kids menu. Kids are free under 12, right? That's going to resonate. That's a value proposition that resonates with a specific group. Then you may have
there's strategy involved.
So there's so much more. And I will say the limitation, and this is not a bad thing. Excuse me, it's not a bad thing, but it's more of just making people aware. You have to understand that we live in the world, and I've discussed this on my podcast, that people want hyper personalization. They want information. They want language that resonates with them. We are gone from the days of, I'm going to take this wide net and just throw it out there, and then I expect to capture everybody. We are people who are bombarded with information, so our brains have to really focus in on what matters to us most. And that's where a designer can help you create that bridge. AI is great. It's a great tool. If I was in a situation where I was doing a tag sale or I was doing something local, or even if I wanted to just experiment, maybe I want to do my own experimentation to see what's working, that is great. But I would also say use AI as more of like a graduation tool. Like, okay, I got my foundation, I got my bearings of what I'm trying to do. Now I got to take it to the next level. If I'm looking to grow, if I want to be successful, go out and get a designer. I work for $1 billion telecom industry, and I work in AI, and you're hearing this from an AI product manager. we use designers. We have full capabilities to use AI, and we have whole creative groups. Okay, so let that sink in. We cannot shy away from just having they call it the human in the loop with AI. You have to have the human in the loop. And I'll say this, and I'll pause, but the businesses that are using a human designer are going to be the Mercedes-Benz. Clock it. Right? Like, come tag me in about 3 years and let me know, right? You'll see
the premium brands.
Yeah, premium. You're going to see a divide. You're already seeing the divide. People are saying, I don't want to come to your business if your customers are telling you you're too lazy to even do a design, dude. I'm not coming in. And furthermore, these AI templates are so well crafted and so non-personalized that it doesn't even reflect your business. You know how vexed I'll be? I'm looking at this AI flyer. I'm like, oh man. And I get there and it's like, dude, what?
It's nothing like it.
Yeah.
So. Excellent points. We're going to end it there for this first segment. And when we come back, we're going to hear all about how you got into this space as an AI product developer. And we'll talk a little bit about your podcast as well.
Awesome.
At Peralta Design, social causes are very important to us. One of our trusted community partners and clients is Catalyst CT. Catalyst CT believes in social change that creates a lasting impact on community well-being. Catalyst CT tackles the tough issues that youth, families, and communities often face by preventing street violence, mediating and resolving conflict, improving school climate, boosting mental health, and planting the seeds for a healthy, safe, and restorative life. For more information on Catalyst CT, visit catalystct.org.
We want brands.
And we're back. Please join me once again in welcoming James Worthy, AI product developer for the telecom industry and fellow podcaster.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you again.
First, great opening segment.
Thank you.
I think we dropped some gems and kept it positive, and very, very, very informative. And I hope that folks will let that sink in.
Yeah.
Let's dive in a little bit into your personal story. Tell us how you broke into this space.
Absolutely. So I actually went to college and really wanted to get into marketing, actually. And I actually worked for a pharmaceutical company out of Stanford and worked in marketing with them for a little while. Then I developed this love for customer experience. And I developed this love for solving problems. Eventually, I love to travel as well. I was planning to travel to an island in the Caribbean called Martinique. And they just opened up the market for U.S. customers. And when I was planning my visit, I noticed there was a gap. There was no single platform where customers can book their excursions, hotels, and car rentals. There's TripAdvisors, there's all these other things, but they really didn't cater to that market because it wasn't really for America. So I developed this company called Martinique Excursions. And was really successful at that. And that's when my love for customer experience and developing experience really came to fruition. I use a designer, by the way, for that. We were successful. Unfortunately, due to natural disasters, I had to shut down the business because the U.S. market kind of plummeted. But it was great. I solved the biggest problem, which is bridging the gap between language for people who don't speak French, because it's a French-speaking island, and the currency gap, which is they use the euro down there. Fast forwarding, I had an opportunity to go work at Spectrum and Telecom and work in customer experience and solve problems for people on the digital side, whether it be app, IVR, or web. And then I continued to grow my career. As AI started to become a little bit more mature, I studied on it, I learned about it, and then I got into what's called conversational AI. And then now I'm in full-blown AI as far as the telecom industry, making sure that 200 million customers are able to do whatever they need to do from a digital perspective, and making it as frictionless as possible. So that's where I was. And I'll take it back even further with the whole love of marketing. In between college, while I was finishing up college, I actually worked for a company called the Dakota Group that actually did designs for, if you guys ever see like the open enrollment packages we used to get when they were physical, someone had to design all that. So that's what that company did. And then just seeing like the business development aspect of it also is something that really kind of turned me into marketing. So I was like, okay, I'm going to see if I can start this little firm myself. I'll do the business development because I know how to go out and get customers. I just can't design for a lick. So I worked with some copywriters and some designers and did that for a little bit before doing the whole marketing excursions thing. So I really kind of bounced around.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing with me is I was just never afraid to take a chance on myself and do it. Despite, you know, parents and family, oh my gosh, what if this, what if that happens? And then just filling your brain. But even though some of my things haven't been successful because of things out of my control, when I'm a grandfather like you, I'm going to have stories to share. I didn't do anything because I was afraid.
Right.
So that's
awesome. And there's some common threads there. I think problem solving is something you've been passionate about, and also the customer experience.
Yes. I love
customer experience. What are some of the products you've worked on in AI for telecom?
Sure. So I've worked on, if you are a Spectrum customer, it's called the My Spectrum app, giving people the ability to schedule their own appointment. Like, remember the days where you had a cable issue, you got a call, they got to troubleshoot you for like an hour, and then they got to schedule a technician. Kind of went away from all of that. Like, we have so much data and technology around us. I should be able to diagnose the problem from where we are without even needing to speak to you, and allowing you to schedule your own appointment, right? So that was one of the biggest things. And then today I'm working more on, you know, I think globally we're moving towards a space where people might stop using websites as much and focusing more on like conversational things. So like, you know, we have Gemini, we have ChatGPT. Those might
almost
be
like a AI assistant conversation.
Exactly. So people are going to start using that more. So for example, if you say, hey, look, I'm going to a party on Friday. I need like a good looking shirt. Here's my sizes. And I want red. Give me all you got, right? Versus me going to a catalog, filtering. It's a whole new ball game.
Yeah.
So I'm focused more on like bringing the catalog to you in a very hyper personalized way versus you having to sift to it, which is going to create a new problem, which I know we don't have time to talk about today, but I'd love to talk about in the future about the new problem that Conversational is doing, because I did like a research where website trends are going to change. People are going to stop looking through the whole website, and they're just going to use this tool to say, hey, fetch me, these are my requirements, go find it for me and bring it back. So I'd love to talk to you about that in the future.
Definitely, we'll definitely have a part two. Briefly, before we get into your podcast, you mentioned some data that I don't want to leave out. So why don't we hit that? Absolutely.
So here are some things that, you know, just so everybody knows that we're not pulling stuff out the sky, right? 78% of consumers find brands cringy when they overuse AI, right? So overwhelming majority of people are saying that, right? 78% also say that you overusing AI makes your brand seem very unauthentic. And 93% of customers say it matters that if the brand is communicating from a real person, meaning 93%, say that it hurts you if you're not authentic, if you're not using a human. And then 55% says that they find brands less favorable who overuse AI. So there's a lot of data here. It's trending. And then the other thing I'll say is 57% of Gen Z and millennials. Now, this is your group that's, because you remember, like,
they're your future consumers.
Consumers, right?
Yeah.
They're saying that
consumers now.
But they're just gonna make more money. Like, you want to get them hooked now and have them for a lifetime as a customer.
Exactly. So 57% are saying that using AI actually degrades your brand. So you have all this data that I just mentioned here that suggests that people, okay, because you're not servicing robots, you're servicing people. The people are speaking, and they're saying with data, we prefer to have the human in the loop. And not only that, we know if you're using AI. So we're it's not like people are oblivious to it.
No,
we know.
We're savvy enough.
It's very apparent. So keep that in everyone's back pocket. for awareness to
Clock
know.
it.
Yeah, clock that.
Clock it.
Because it's the data's saying. So now you do with that information as you will, but the data says, hey, it may be time to invest in a designer, and designers have range, right? You don't have to spend millions of dollars to get it done.
So James, your podcast, you have two. Tell us what they're about.
Absolutely.
As we wrap, and how people can listen and subscribe and find out more.
Absolutely. So the first one I'll mention is this is a near and dear one to my heart. It's called Battle Hardened Dad. So that's on YouTube, and the handle is Battle Hardened Dad, all one word. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And there I talk about all spectrums of being a father, all the way from finding out that your partner is pregnant to dealing with the fourth trimester, which is called postpartum, to, hey, dads, you're going through it. You're not alone. Tune in for that one. And then the last one I'll mention is Not So Business as Usual. Well, I have more of these intense discussions about AI, where we're going. We talk about AI in the church. Our pastors using AI. Does that dilute the sermon down to, hey, I'm 50. I just got laid off because of AI. What do I do next? So we talk about a range of things, and it's Not So Business as Usual. So it's Not So Business as Usual, all one word, on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok as well.
Excellent, James. Great conversation. I'm glad we collaborated on this.
Thank you.
And I look forward to sharing the show with our audience.
Awesome.
So thanks for coming in.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mission Control. Until next time, this is your host, Ramon Peralta, with Peralta Design, and we launch brands.